Now, if you're like me, you love a fantastic single-player story to delve into, and Xbox Game Pass provides us with a large pool of amazing games, and there are some phenomenal single-player games as part of the service. Today, I will whittle down the 25 best single-player games you have to play right now on Xbox Game Pass in 2024. This is Fletcher from Xbox Nation. Subscribe for more Xbox content every single week, and let's delve into these gripping single-player experiences. First up, we have a game that joined Game Pass thanks to EA Play, and that is the fantastic and horrifying Dead Space Remake. If there is a definition of a faithful remake that provided gamers with an elevated horror experience, then it's this game. With its stunningly redesigned spaceship, smartly and subtly enhanced story, and spectacularly reimagined action scenes, Motive Studios successfully breathed new life into the sci-fi horror universe of Dead Space. This is a very well-crafted experience that is carefully balanced with innovation, renovation, and preservation. To their credit, the end result is undoubtedly the definitive way to experience one of the best survival horror shooters of all time. We recently had a fantastic game arrive on Game Pass within the past month, and I highly recommend everyone tries this one out. Control Ultimate Edition is a phenomenal game that not only includes one of the best narrative games of the last generation of consoles, but also the great DLC. Without diving into spoilers, I'll just say it's best to think of Control as a Metroidvania-esque version of the X-Files, with the quality third-person shooting combat Remedy was once known for. It is truly one of the great sci-fi games of the last several years, and is a high recommendation for any Xbox gamer. The roguelike genre continues to find new and inventive ways to hook players in a continuous cycle of building and improving. Slay the Spire combines roguelikes with another genre known for compelling players to improve builds, the deck building genre. As players take on Slay the Spire, they steadily grow a collection of cards which they'll need to build a deck from. This deck is how players combat enemies through Slay the Spire's procedural areas. Slay the Spire is a game that's perfect for players who enjoy the deck-building nature of collectible card games but aren't keen on spending the real-life money required to maintain those decks. Psychonauts 2 is the long-awaited sequel many players never thought would happen. The original Psychonauts, which is available on Xbox Game Pass, is a 2005 cult classic platformer created by Tim Schafer and Double Fine Productions. Psychonauts 2 is the result of love from its creator, developer, and fans, and it was initially funded through a crowdfunding campaign before Microsoft acquired Double Fine a few years back. The wait was worth it though, and Psychonauts 2 met overwhelming praise, and in fact, most believe it would live up to and exceeded the original. Psychonauts 2 went on to be nominated for Game of the Year at the Game Awards in 2021, losing to It Takes Two. Thankfully, Psychonauts 2 sold well, unlike the original Psychonauts, and is well worth a play now that it's on Game Pass. Lies of P is the latest Souls-like hit, and one that surprisingly didn't come from Software. It was developed by NeoWiz Games and Round 8 Studio, with each developer definitely understanding their assignments. Lies of P currently has an 80 Metacritic score and was praised for its difficulty and customization. Lies of P is the classic inspired tale of the adventures of Pinocchio, and as Pinocchio, players can choose to lie through the story, which can influence which ending they get. Altogether, Lies of P is one of the most fascinating takes on Pinocchio's story yet, and a great Souls-likes for beginners of this genre. In the midst of the hype surrounding Starfield, Sea of Stars was so heavily overlooked. The game is a traditional turn-based RPG developed by Sabotage Studio, and Sea of Stars is set in the same universe as their award-winning action platformer, The Messenger. Valerie and Zale, the two protagonists of this new game, can combine their sun and moon powers to perform eclipse magic, which is necessary to triumph over the evil alchemist, the Flesh Monster. Sea of Stars gameplay draws heavily from the classics such as Breath of Fire and Chrono Trigger, whilst also having fun mini-games such as fishing. Sea of Stars currently has an 88 Metacritic score, making it one of the highest reviewed games of 2023. Ori and the Blind Forest is an unforgettable Metroidvania-style platformer, which was originally an exclusive to Xbox. This highly regarded title made waves after it released in 2015, eventually spawning the second game of the series, Ori and the Will-o'-the-Wisps, in 2020. Ori is a masterpiece for a multitude of reasons, but its stunning landscapes make it just unforgettable. With over over 7,000 hand-painted graphics in the game, the Blind Forest team at Moon Studios literally brought their art to life. Ori is a must-play for fans looking to dip their toes into the Metroidvania world and a study of the power of graphic design. Any Xbox player who laments God of War's absence on Xbox should give Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice a chance. Developed by Ninja Theory, whose repertoire includes Heavenly Sword and Enslaved Odyssey to the West, Hellblade is an intense action-adventure game set in a Norse mythology-inspired fantasy world. In Hellblade, a woman named Senua travels to Helheim to bring back her deceased lover. Along the way, Senua faces horrors, puzzles, and tough enemies. Hellblade received critical acclaim after its release, in part for its phenomenal narrative and gorgeous artwork. The sequel, Hellblade 2: Senua's Saga, is set to release on May 21st, and no doubt this next entry will also hit the same great heights. The Batman Arkham trilogy could well be the best superhero-themed video game franchise of all time, so it should come at no surprise that the series' final entry, Batman Arkham Knight, ranks amongst the best on Xbox Game Pass. With its gorgeous graphics, high-octane combat, and solid narrative, this game brings Bruce Wayne to life as well as any film or comic book series. Upon release, Batman Arkham Knight on PC and console did have a lot of technical issues, rendering it unplayable for many users. Thankfully, post-release maintenance has fixed those issues, and it's now one of the most visually stunning titles in the history of superhero video games. This War of Mine is a poignant take on the war genre that has become more and more relevant as the years progressed. This War of Mine is a survival game where players don't take the role of soldiers, but citizens. Players must strategize how to gather supplies and maintain the health of their group in a war-torn Grasnavia. This War of Mine, the final cut, is the 2019 remaster of the 2014 game and includes all DLC and updates released at the time, as well as a new scenario, new quests, and a new character. This War of Mine is an unforgettable experience, and the realistic scenario it depicts is something all players should look to explore, now more than ever. Mass Effect series is one of the crown jewels of both BioWare and EA, and BioWare went above and beyond to create a new galaxy that feels so alive and real with unforgettable characters, races, cultures, and locations. The Legendary Collection even makes extra enhancements to the original Mass Effect, which hasn't aged as well as its successors. While you also get the second and third entry in this phenomenal franchise, they all still look great and play amazing to this day. The extra visual fidelity at 4K make the games look stunning, and the added benefit of 120 FPS make these some of the best RPGs and single player experiences on Xbox Game Pass right now. It takes a special indie game to find mainstream success in an industry dominated by shooters and battle royales, yet that may undersell just how great of a game Hollow Knight actually is. Hollow Knight is a Metroidvania game where players play as the knight as they explore the Hollow Nest. Along the way, players will encounter tough fights and plenty of world building. Add in the charm system, which allows players to customize their knight's ability to fine-tune the game to their playing style, and the result is one of the best games in recent memory. Hollow Knight Void Heart Edition bundles Hollow Knight and each of its DLC expansions that were released at a time, adding more levels, enemies, and bosses to overcome. TUNIC is a unique adventure RPG developed by Finji, a studio best known for its 2017 hit Night in the Woods. TUNIC plays a bit like Death's Door, but it also has some innovative features that put it in a category all on its own. For example, TUNIC's tutorial system is neatly woven into the gameplay as opposed to being separate, dedicated levels. Throughout TUNIC's story, players slowly learn tidbits about the game by adventuring and picking up handbook fragments that give players pointers, hints, maps, secrets, and other key information about the game. This combines to make TUNIC one of the best releases of 2022 and a great option for Xbox players looking for a Zelda-like game. Dead Cells is one of the best indie titles in recent memory. Winner of the Best Action Game at the Game Awards in 2018, Dead Cells is a gripping pixel art roguelike that will keep the player coming back for more. As is true in most roguelikes, players will meet their demise in Dead Cells more times than they can count, but the permanent upgrade system within the game helps players feel like they're making progress even in the face of regular deaths. Motion Twin is still releasing new content for Dead Cells and dropped their most recent DLC based on Castlevania in March of 2023. Assassin's Creed Valhalla continued the trend by Assassin's Creed Origins by creating a massive world with hours upon hours of things to do and choices to make. Some Assassin's Creed fans lamented this shift away from the traditional Assassin's Creed, hence why Assassin's Creed Mirage charge now exists. Set in Norway and the British Isles during the Viking Age of the 9th century, Valhalla stars Eivor, a raider who seeks to form a Viking clan, but is swept in the age-old conflict between Assassin Brotherhood and the Templars. Valhalla is the long-awaited Viking-era Assassin's Creed game, and its scope, combat, and story definitely don't disappoint. The first Plague Tale was an unexpected hit from a relatively small developer punching above its weight. But instead, Asobo Studio kept its narrative tightly focused on telling a human story set in an alternative French history. Though the rat controlling mechanics have been expanded, the story is still concerned primarily with the family dynamics between Hugo and his protective older sister Amicia. It's a downright beautiful game with lush environments that rival those of the biggest AAA studios. Limbo was a platformer that used its familiar mechanics to tell an engaging series with a jaw-dropping reveal. Cocoon, the debut game from the new studio formed by key Limbo devs, similarly uses mechanics of an environmental puzzler to build something that more than meets the eye. Cocoon puts you in the chittering carapace of a cicada, solving puzzles by moving special orbs. But the real magic is in how it uses the premise to ask questions about life and self-evolution, which unfolds over time. There's definitely a reason why this game got so highly praised with phenomenal reviews, so I recommend you give this a go, as it's not a long game at all. When Microsoft finalized its acquisition of Activision Blizzard, it seemed only a matter of time before the studio's massive library started to come to Game Pass. We're still waiting on a lot of this catalog, but it started with a big one. The latest in the beloved dungeon crawling RPG series Diablo 4 lets you delve into the deep and macabre world of Sanctuary to protect it from Lilith, the demon monster. With deep and immersive character building and a regular cadence of seasonal content to let you further expand your characters and new abilities, Diablo 4 is not to be missed, and the single player story is also just a phenomenal time. Now, if you've never played the Halo franchise before, Halo the Master Chief Collection is the perfect place to start. The Master Chief Collection comes with 6 Halo games, including remastered versions of the first 2 original Xbox entries. Halo features some of the very best single player campaigns in the genre, as well as an extremely solid online multiplayer. Back when the collection was originally released, the online multiplayer was spotty to say the least, but it's come a long way. Halo the Master Chief Collection offers the best way to play some of the most heralded first-person shooters ever created. Hi-Fi Rush is a bright popcorn animated adventure from the studio that brought you, and you won't believe it, The Evil Within. As surprising as it is, what may be even more impressive is that this is an absolute gem of a rhythm action game. The original IP follows Chai, a good-hearted doofus who signs up for free cybernetic surgery and ends up with a Zune crafted into his chest. He comes out the other side with the power to defeat corporate enemies to the gyrating beat of the world. It's like Elite Beats agents mashed together with Devil May Cry, and it works so well to bring out one of the best experiences available on Xbox in recent years. Persona 3 was the game to really set the mold for where the series would go. It's part dungeon crawling, turn-based RPG, and part social sim where you manage the life of a high schooler who teams up with other kids to secretly combat monsters at night. Reload improves on the original version of the game in numerous ways, introducing quality of life features and improved visuals that make the best version of Persona 3. This is a substantial experience that will keep you hooked over its dozens of hours, with a great story, terrific music, incredibly slick looking menus, and great combat. Respawn Entertainment's first Titanfall game set the stage for a massively enjoyable multiplayer game about man versus massive mechanized warsuits. But its first and sadly only sequel polished those ideas to a mirror finish. Every nut and bolt had been tightened, gameplay was further refined, and online multiplayer is still a blast to play. But the real triumph of Titanfall 2 is a single-player campaign that still stands as one of the very best stories in all of gaming. I have never had such an attachment to a robot in all of video game history, and it shows the excellent talent Respawn Entertainment have within their ranks. When it comes to great racing games, Forza Horizon 5 is the cream of the crop. As you would expect from a racing title, you're offered a wide variety of cars to choose from, and plenty of exciting locales to race them. What sets Forza Horizon 5 apart is its extremely varied and generous environments, as it takes place in a fictionalized version of Mexico. The cars themselves look gorgeous and are thoroughly customizable to boot, with fancy paint jobs and full-scale body customization on offer. There's an absurd amount to do in the open world, and even some whimsical minigames if you get bored of the more conventional racing. If you love cars and going fast, Forza Horizon 5 is well worth a look. Do you love the idea of modern action games buoyed by deeper role-playing mechanics but find yourself continuously let down by modern games? Then you need to play Remnant 2. Remnant 2 wraps its almost Souls-like action mechanics around genuinely deep RPG concepts. Character building is complex, inventory management is engaging, and the side quests in this game rival some of the best side quests in many proper RPGs. Even better, Remnant 2 is a top-tier multiplayer Game Pass title and easily one of the best co-op experiences available on the service to date. Resident Evil 7 and 8 revitalized Capcom's signature survival horror franchise after the underwhelming Resident Evil 6. Whilst RE7 and 8 are not available through Game Pass as of yet, the first modern remake of the retro RE games, Resident Evil 2, definitely is. In Resident Evil 2, players can revisit the iconic halls of Raccoon City Police Department and once again fend off zombies and bioorganic weapons of every shape and size. Graphics and audio are understandably leagues beyond what the original was capable of on the PlayStation 1. Moreover, the remake does take away with the tank controls and fixed camera angles for a more organic and more claustrophobic experience. What single player game is your favourite out of this list? Let me know down below. Remember to subscribe for more Xbox news, reviews and guides every single week. Whilst here, why don't you check out our original list of the best single player games on Game Pass towards the end of 2023.